to meet you.
Chase.
And then Taylor.
Grace,
It's great meeting you.
Chase. Grace, nice to meet you.
Jason.
I'm Erica. So nice to meet you, Jason.
Yeah. So you guys.
Dropbox CEO Drew Houston was recently quoted as saying the following: "Our users are trapeze artists, high school football coaches." And recently, I was even cornered by a group of theoretical physicists who were raving about the ability and capability of Dropbox, with which they could collaborate across the world on experiments and share results that way. That is one thing that separates Dropbox from its competitors. However, in an increasingly digitized world, they must figure out how to continue to differentiate themselves both within the United States and globally. The current state of Dropbox is as follows. It is a multi-dimensional platform which allows users to access and organize, create, collaborate, and perhaps what they are best known for, file sharing. In summary, Dropbox provides file sharing services for a world that stores increasingly more data, documents, and information in the cloud. And despite all these strengths and great capabilities Dropbox has, once again, there are competitors such as Google Drive and Microsoft OneDrive that are constantly at their throats. They must continue to separate themselves from the industry. As competitors enter the cloud, Dropbox must defend its position in the file sharing industry and across the globe. The chart behind me shows the cloud file sharing market, of which you can see Dropbox is almost even with Google Drive at this point. However, the chart in the packet is from 2020. This data is from 2022. You can see the difference of how Dropbox has gained ground and is now only 1% market share behind Google Drive. So that begs the question, how can Dropbox increase its market share and strategically position itself internationally amidst globalization? My name is Chase Bocart. This is my wonderful, diverse, and eclectic team. We have specialized skill sets that allow us to tackle this complex case head on. You'll hear more from each of them as we move throughout the presentation. So the two main goals we have are firstly to grow our international presence, obviously. Being in this industry, international presence is huge. And secondly, to defend market share through innovation. The big question we pose is as follows. How can Dropbox leverage its B2B competencies abroad? We have come up with a fun framework and its impact, of which these guys and girls will touch on down the road. So a brief look at the current state of the cloud sharing industry shows that the last 5 years has continued to increase in revenue. So despite COVID-19, the file sharing industry was one of the few that was allowed to continue to thrive throughout the past few years. The current market share of Dropbox is about 27%, and some key insights are as from that graph that was shown a few slides ago. They are now only 1% market share behind Google Drive, which closed the gap from 15% since 2020. A look at the external factors and focus. We performed a pestle analysis to show the follow. We specifically want to highlight social, technological, and environmental factors. So socially, Dropbox has work from home initiatives. They provide unstaffed Dropbox studios in replacement of physical offices. Technologically, they can collaborate with virtual reality platform industries. These increase the need for cloud storage. And environmentally, they said by 2030, Dropbox wants to make their data centers 100% carbon neutral. So Dropbox can leverage its core competencies of reliability, collaboration, and support to generate revenue from B2B sales. So these are three of their strengths. We specifically want to highlight collaboration with other businesses. Specifically in the last few years, they've been able to associate with Zoom and Canvas. They have really focused on educational institutions, education, both students, faculty, staff, and professors. So in Zoom meetings, they could share files while the live meetings are happening, and then they associated with Canvas to allow large file sharing to happen more quickly. As a result, in 2020, Dropbox served over 9 million businesses and 500,000 paying teams. But the question still remains, how is Dropbox going to face these challenges? So now I'll pass to Gracie and let her touch on those.
In the face of remote work and COVID-19, we have established a virtual first approach for Dropbox. Though we do miss that in-person connection and client meeting, so we have created something called Dropbox Studios. Dropbox Studios, we have reassessed our real estate portfolio, and we have changed our offices into, they're called Dropbox Studios. And through this, we have made this Dropbox Studio allowable for team meetings, client meetings, And it's a great way to just keep our local customers close by having strategy meetings with them at different locations. So far there are 4 Dropbox studios. We have Austin, Seattle, San Francisco, and Dublin. And to increase our international expansion, we hope to make more Dropbox studios internationally. This is best for our clients and also for Dropbox employees themselves. So how can Dropbox expand its Dropbox studios to best serve alongside its international presence? So we'll do this by having fun. We'll first focus on establishing a presence in Luxembourg by developing a Dropbox studio there. We will be doing this all through business-to-business transactions because of the long-term revenue growth and the long-term relationships that we have by doing business-to-business transactions. So where should Dropbox focus first? As I mentioned before, we will be focusing on the country of Luxembourg, and let me tell you a little bit why we chose Luxembourg. So first, we'll open a Dropbox studio in Luxembourg, and let me show you a little bit more about it. So first, we have taken some countries with high, small, and medium-sized enterprises and compared them. And as Case mentioned, we have looked for companies with low corporate tax rates and high GDP per capita. It seems as Luxembourg is the best fit, and that is why we have chosen Luxembourg as next place we will do a Dropbox studio. Compared to the rest of the EU, Luxembourg has the highest value added compared to the rest of the countries in the EU. It is also the most international region in the EU and has a very stable economy in the region. In regards to this, I've also shown that the size of SMEs for number of people employed has been increasing, which makes it another valuable option to choose Luxembourg as our country of choice. In regards to specific industries, I'm going to hand it off to Erica to explain what small and medium-sized enterprises in Luxembourg we will be targeting.
Thank you so much, Gracie. So we are looking at event management companies to target off the bat. We ultimately want to serve all SMEs, but for our go-to-market strategy, we looked at this as it is over a $5.8 billion market in the event management software systems. And so we identified a few potential target customers off the bat. So Wonder Events and Com, Ganame, Events Unlimited, and the Partyville. By targeting event owners, this allows for them to interact with their clients in a new and seamlessly integrated way. We actually put Laura, who is the owner of Wonder, on the right here because she is a passionate and creative entrepreneur. She works with at least 6 clients at a time, right? She has emails, invoices, all these different things coming in. And Dropbox Business is a great platform that she could use. So this is a legitimate company in Luxembourg that we think that they could go after, and then also similar companies to that as well. So what can Dropbox create for these Luxembourg users and other users as we continue to expand internationally? So we're looking to create a unified platform such as Dropbox TipTop, which we will get into in a second. And the key here is that it will essentially be like the current Dropbox business software that we have, but we are proposing that Dropbox implements a new in-house customer relationship management system. And the customer relationship management system is actually valued at over $250 billion and is growing at a 12.5% compounded average growth rate right now. So we think it would be a great place for Dropbox to move into instead of just solely integrating with CRM systems like Salesforce. So why Dropbox TipTop, you ask?
Yes.
That's a great question. So TipTop is actually a term used in Luxembourg to communicate enthusiastic agreements. We think it's great for that sense of collaboration, and also in the US, tip-top shape means to be excellent or of the very best quality. So some of the client needs we identified in users like the one previously mentioned in our go-to-market strategy, they need places for simultaneous collaboration on projects, to-do list tasks, streamlined communication channels, payment processing, and client-specific folders. Again, Dropbox Business has most of these things, but we do think that adding an in-house CRM system will help, and we made a little mock-up too. It's a very nice user-friendly interface, so we've got a projects tab where you can share your files, task manager system, chat boxes and video conferences in the tool folder, a payments folder for invoices and payment processing, as well as that CRM system to focus on each client at a time as you flip through folders. Now I'm going to pass it on to Taylor to talk about our innovation approaches.
Thank you so much, Erica. So we utilize the FUN framework to learn how to navigate the market that we find ourselves in, which is a virtual market. And this we enhance this by enhancing communication opportunities with a corporate partner. We plan to do this with integrating our chatting and virtual reality systems into the Dropbox business platform. This would allow Dropbox to be able to compete with Microsoft Teams, which offers a similar service, and they would be able to defend and enhance their market share with video chatting and virtual reality features. We plan to do this by collaborating with Meta. Why Meta, you ask? Meta is a phenomenal company with great stance in virtual reality through their Workrooms platform and the Workplaces, which is more of a collaborative and video chatting service. And we have a great working relationship with Meta. In the past, we partnered with Facebook to archive Instagram and Facebook photos. And then also our CEO, Mr. Houston, serves on the board of directors of Meta since 2020. So we have a great working relationship with Meta. And then over to the left, you can see the Dropbox business user interface, which allows people to share files, collaborate on files, comment on files, or even request files for business. And then to your right side, you can see Meta Workplace. This is a great collaborative platform, which I'll talk about later in the presentation. Here you can see VR workrooms through Meta. In this COVID time we find ourselves in, either working from home due to sickness or working from home being an international business, we have trouble communicating with people. And sometimes, as you know, being on Zoom, you're just talking to a black screen. So it's very helpful to be able to talk to someone face-to-face in a virtual environment. So here, people are able to present like we're doing even in the platform. We could give this presentation through Workrooms right here. You can see right here, they're giving a presentation utilizing the Dropbox system to enhance their platform. Rather than taking off your headset and removing yourself from that environment, you're able to actually access Dropbox while you're giving presentations and collaborate in a workroom like you see there on your laptops. This utilizes MR, mixed reality. You can type on your computer and collaborate with each other. You can do this from the comfort of your own home while collaborating and talking face-to-face, getting that human interaction that has been much needed through this time with COVID. Next, we have the workplace integration. This allows people to collaborate. As you can see, our user is talking face-to-face on a video chatting service. They also are utilizing Dropbox while collaborating, so they are able to share it in the chat, and they're able to collaborate in it real time while using this workplace application. We would integrate both the Dropbox Business and Meta Workplace together to enhance both platforms for both the companies. This would be important for their users to share files seamlessly, to collaborate on files either via video chat, not everyone wants to throw on a headset, or through VR whenever you want to enhance that user experience. So we've developed a plan to make Dropbox's journey fun. So now what? We've created an implementation plan for our fun framework. First, we have focus, which will be expanding to Luxembourg, and future expansion processes to other businesses that have higher GDPs, lower tax rates for corporations, and better expansion. So this will be our Luxembourg framework, where we will onboard owners, release marketing campaigns, and then our next two are more of a software development plan. As you may be familiar with software development plans, it consists of developing the software, testing, and then bring it to market, and then continue updates and customer support. And the way we will measure our success in these is through our KPIs, which can honestly be interchangeable between a couple of them, but a couple I'd like to highlight is the quantity of users onboarded, the break-even points, and then the number of users 3 years post-launch. Next, we have our revenues. Utilizing the Luxembourg framework, we'll be able to expand to different countries. First start out with Luxembourg, and then hopefully expand to 1.39 million new users and generate $327.6 million in profit from this expansion framework. In addition to that, we implemented our recommendation 2 and 3 into our revenue for US and international. As you can see, it's almost an even split between the US and international revenue. And that highlights Dropbox's diverse platform in the marketplace between the international and domestic users. Finally, we have shown you how we will grow international presence, defend our market share through focusing on the business-to-business platform, and then we utilize our fund framework to focus on expanding to SMEs in Luxembourg and future countries. We have created an all-in-one management platform, and then finally, we have shown you how we will navigate the virtual environment we have found ourselves in. like I highlighted earlier, in the Luxembourg framework, we will expand to 139 million new users, and then also expand $327.6 million after this expansion. Thank you all for your time. Please let us know if you have any questions.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you. So at this point, we'll be opening up for the judges for Q&A. Go ahead and start.
I have a question. Could you guys clarify a little bit on how you're planning to acquire 1.4 million users in Luxembourg, and what kind of users these would be?
Yes. So Luxembourg, funny enough, in the Luxembourg itself, there's actually only, I believe, 630,000 population. So you're probably wondering, how do you hit that 1.3?
Very much so, yes.
That's a great question. So they actually have companies based in Luxembourg have a huge global workforce as well. There's a lot in the finance and banking sector. And based off of some calculations we pulled, that we believe we can get a good percentage of the SMEs to get on board, which will then disperse into the global market as well. And then also with the Dropbox Studios, so we want one to be implemented in Luxembourg, but there are also 2 other offices they're in the process of renovating abroad, so we kind of took that into account for the international expansion by the end of 2026.
And a follow-up to that, how many SMEs would you need to get? If my understanding is correct, 1.4 million would be consisting of the users within the SMEs? That's your market, or are these customers like consumer type of base?
For now, we're focusing on the SMEs, but in the past, Dropbox actually partners with a lot of large cap companies such as McDonald's and other large companies. So we will offer this to other companies, but for now, we'd like to focus on capturing the small market enterprise companies. And then we will also market that to large companies as well. But right now, we're working on capturing the smaller market.
So how many SMEs, and what kind of industries, what kind of, how you're planning to acquire them?
Yes, that's a great question. So we have, I don't know the exact number of SMEs off the top of my head, but we're hoping to acquire them in, again, the consulting-based event management type industry, because, again, it does have a global presence, so they do have millions of workers that the businesses would be tapping into, because with the Dropbox business, it's not one person in the business has Dropbox business. Like, all employees are going to be on that premium plan, so that they can have access to file sharing within the company. And so we're looking to tap into that. And with the industries, again, the top ones in Luxembourg are going to be the banking and finance, but we wanted to go to market first with event management because Dropbox Business currently is best suited for the client services and service-based industries. And then once there are more security features put in place, legal things to help move into the finance and the business sector, then expand that there as well.
Okay.
I'm curious about, what happens to the B2C business for Dropbox? Are you recommending that they abandon that entirely, or what's your recommendation?
No, not at all. No, for B2C, it's pretty self-sustaining, like they mentioned in the case. Pretty much for the B2C customer base, they really just expand through word of mouth and then social media expansion. And as seen in the case, they mentioned a lot of the revenue, the majority of the revenue for Dropbox is generated from their B2B marketplace. And that's where they do the relationship building, and they actually have their in-person customer support. They don't have a customer support model for their B2C because that is usually generated from their own. They create the service, they join it, and then they get the customer service through the B2C. And the B2C is very self-sustaining. There's no change in the B2C in this plan right now because it has been self-sustaining, and we see more of an opportunity in expanding our B2B marketplace because B2C has been able to.
In the trends chart that you had, you didn't break out a difference between B2C, or not the trend, what was it, the market size chart that you had, which was really interesting. And I thought it was great that you updated it from the case. Mm-hmm. But I was curious, like, that's just overall market, and you don't distinguish between B2B versus B2C. So do you have that information, or do you know?
So the majority of B2C users are actually just on the free part of the freemium plan. They really don't contribute to that much of the revenue because there's less than a 4% conversion rate from consumers on the free part of the plan that go into the paid for model. However, that is a great question and something that we would need to look further into and to
Yeah, because how does Dropbox stack up to Google Drive and OneDrive on the B2B side? If that's where you're kind of hinging your strategy on, it'd be interesting to see how they stack up there. If you know.
So one core thing they do is they actually partner with a lot of businesses like Google Drive, surprisingly enough. They have over 22 million business partners, big names, Amazon, Google, things like that. So they're kind of taking this approach of mutual benefit for all of the companies, which is quite interesting. So we were just looking at maybe different ways we could tap into that core competency of business integration that they have and see if we could leverage that to the best of Dropbox's ability.
And then one other, sorry.
Go ahead.
So one thing that wasn't clear, so you're saying that Dropbox could add kind of video conferencing functionality to its software?
Yes. Yeah.
That puts them head to head with, Zoom and others. What's the risk of that, and what's the cost of that?
Yeah, we actually see a lot of rivals actually collaborating with one another. For example, right now Zoom is actually in collaboration with Dropbox, and they're also Dropbox is also collaborating with two of their greatest rivals. They work with Google Suite, and they also work with OneDrive. So it's very common to see the rivals work with one another because it enhances both their business models. And they both would be enhancing their Zoom, but also compete with Microsoft Teams, giving businesses the opportunity to both utilize video conferencing for those who really don't want to be on a US server. Because Dropbox offers international servers rather than having US servers, and most of their international customers are mainly concerned with the Patriot Act, for example, when being on a US server. So Dropbox really is a great business platform for those international customers.
Follow-up question to that, if I may.
Yeah, please.
Why, I love the idea of VR and partnering with Meta. And I know, like you said, that Dropbox is already partnering with Zoom. Why is the case for building your own customer relations system that includes all the videos and email? Why not partner, right? So why not partner with someone to offer, the envelope type of model, right? And as a follow-up to that, aren't you going to Dropbox, aren't you going to face now a whole bunch of new competitors in that field, Monday.coms, etc.?
In a sense, they would receive a lot more competitors in the collaboration and virtual workspace force, but with all the businesses they already serve, it is important for them to actually tap into that feature, and rather than having to, they offer the Zoom application, but not everyone wants to use Zoom. Through my experience in internships, I will offer a Zoom link and they want to be on Teams, or pretty much just Teams. They only want to collaborate on Teams. So it would be very helpful for those international businesses to have another option rather than Teams to completely monopolize that market. So with the collaboration base, they will be competing with Zoom Suto, but Zoom doesn't have any chat base outside of their Zoom collaboration. Once you end the meeting, that meeting is done, and you have to join the meeting once again to collaborate with the team. And then the important part of this is the file sharing aspect of it. So they're able to share a file with one another, and they can either hop in that file through Zoom for those who would like to have that face-to-face interaction, or through their video chatting service. And the reason we decided to partner with Meta over Zoom is because Zoom doesn't have that chat-based service through the workplace. Because workplace, they have the chat-based service, they have the news feed for people to make announcements to the entire company as a whole. And then in addition to that, they also have the video chatting and VR feature, which Teams doesn't have. They just have the video chatting feature. So that would set them apart in the market to have a VR service as well.
And to speak to your CRM system question, so the market is huge, 200 plus billion, and they currently do integrate with Salesforce, which is the largest CRM system you could possibly integrate with. However, they have so many other in-house services except CRM, and so we're saying that if they did create their own in-house CRM system and put it into a suite the Dropbox tip talks with their other things, then that would allow their small businesses who are already falling on a budget to only have to operate on one platform instead of having to also pay the $30 a month subscription to Salesforce Essentials. And so kind of cutting costs for those small businesses by bringing in the in-house CRM system, we think would be beneficial for the customers we are targeting. And also we think it's just a really lucrative market, and it's growing at 12% KGR. So we think it would be really beneficial to just develop an in-house thing.
We are at time, pretty much, so, thank you.